Hello guys, how you doing? My name is Alexandra and in today's video we're gonna be doing the analysis of a signature based on the principles of graphology. First thing you need to know, the analysis of the whole handwriting and the signature are two completely different things. You cannot analyze the personality of a person based only on their signature. And there is a very simple reason for that. The signature is how we want to be perceived in the society. This is how we want to be seen, how we present ourselves to the outside world. It's not the deepest personality traits we have inside ourselves. Therefore, if you only have the signature, you should not really analyze the whole personality of a person. That's why in today's video we're going to analyze how a person wants to be perceived by society. I prepared a board because I thought it's gonna be the easiest way to show you guys. These are basically my name and my surname. Without further ado, let's get it started. First thing we need to talk about is the spacing between the words. Let's take for example a person is writing their whole name and surname, and as you can see here there is this big gap between the name and the surname. It tells us how close a person feels to their family, because as we know the surname is derived from the family, mostly the father side if the person is not married yet. And in the first example we can see that the person feels a big distance towards their family member. We can assume that this distance is even to the father's figure. When you see here, there is literally no gap in between. So it can either mean that the person is very close to their family, but for me it's a little bit bothering because there's literally no gap in between. So what I would say is that there is some kind of attachment form here. You know the styles of attachment? This is what we're talking about in here. This is a pretty flexible person. Another thing we can add in here is with changing your surname when you get married, for example. So a woman who has recently changed their surname, she might have a tendency to first put the surname rather far because it's something new to her. She just got together as a married couple with that person, but after the marriage progresses, she can keep her surname closer to her name. That's also the tendency we can see. Now we have a very interesting example about the slant of the lettering. You can see the letters are straight up. So this is basically describing a person who's pretty confident. She stumbles on the firm ground, doesn't have head over the clouds, is pretty much logical. On the other side here, we have a slant towards right. So every time you see slant towards right, it basically signifies optimism. They are looking towards the future, again, the future. This is present. This one is past on the other hand. So this person is optimistic, is confident, is future oriented, probably also action oriented in this case. What we see here on the other hand is the complete opposite. So the person might be having some troubles with the past, is detached from reality, maybe insecure. So this is what the slant of the signature and actually the whole handwriting tells us. Okay, now we have a very interesting spreadsheet. There's lots of going on. So here we're gonna be talking about the baselines. There are basically three baselines in graphology. We have the middle baseline, we have the upper one, and we have the lower one. So the P's, the T's, the K will be going into the upper one. All of the A, W, O, I is the middle zone, and the Y's, which I don't have here, are the lower zone. What are the baselines talking about? Optimism and the way they perceive the world. So here again we see that the person is rather standing firmly on the ground, might be very good with decision making. Here on the other hand, the signature is going up, so it might be telling us that this person is confident, especially optimistic, because as they keep writing, their hand keeps going up, which means, wow, I cannot wait for what's gonna happen to do that. You get the point. When it goes downwards, it's literally the opposite. So pessimism, I cannot keep my hand because I'm getting depressed by all of this. If we want to reverse it, there is a few more interesting things going on. If we look here, we have a fairly straight signature, but suddenly we have a crush. downwards. It might mean a few things. First of all, that the person is trying to pretend like everything is fine. They try to come out as a confident, reliable, responsible person, but suddenly they cannot do that anymore. Their emotions take over, their true self takes over, and they're just crashing down, showing us that they're actually very vulnerable, that they're maybe depressed and have some anxiety going on in their lives. There is the surname that is being broken down. It can mean that there is some problem with family issues, maybe father issues, again from the surname. The person feels pretty confident as an individual, but there's some issues in the past that are being unresolved, or there's something wrong with the family bonds. So watch out for that. This example, I try to make it as best as possible. The beginning is very legible, but as we progress, it keeps getting completely illegible. There's just like a doodles at the end. So what it talks about is that the person can't take this anymore. They have enough. They are done. They cannot even pretend that they are okay anymore because the handwriting loses its legibility. We're gonna talk about it later. Very interesting fact, Hitler had something like this going on with his signature. There is this issue going on with year after year. He's losing legibility in his signature, and the signature keeps decreasing down. It informs us that he was losing himself, losing his ground, and probably also losing his mind. No attachment towards who Hitler was. I'm just talking about what the signature tells us. We're gonna be talking again about family bonds. There we have it. The first name, pretty regular size, but the surname is way bigger. Or at least I tried to make it way bigger. And here we have the exact opposite. The first name is way bigger than the surname. So what this example tells us, there's some family issues going on. So here the person might be idealizing the surname, so the family. And here, on the other hand, they're idealizing themselves. I don't mean it in a negative way. I just say that here maybe a person is feeling more as an individual, more confident in themselves rather than whatever family was to him in the past. Whereas here, they put a lot of attention into the family because whatever is basically standing out in the handwriting, also the signature, is meant to stand out. So the writer unconsciously might be showing the attachment, strong attachment to the family. And here we're going to be talking about crossing out. And we have a few examples, all of them mean something different. First thing, you see we have the cross out on the surname. It means that the person tries to, it's never 100% certainty, but you can assume this, especially if the trait is combined with other traits. You shouldn't assume based on only one trait. You should always look for multiple examples in different traits that are basically pointing out at the same thing. That's when you can come up with some kind of conclusion. So that trait tells us that the person doesn't get along with their family. As you can see, they cross out their family name. Maybe they don't want to even admit that they have it. They just want to forget about the past. Negative emotions. Crossing out things in handwriting is always negative. On the other hand, here the person crosses out their first name is a really inquieting trait. Crossing out their own name means that they might be severely depressed. It might be good to reach out to them. Now we're having the signature that is being underlined with one line. One line under the signature means that the person is very ambitious, creative, and they just want to give out the most out of themselves. Again, we're talking about how a signature, so how we want to be perceived by society. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is ambitious and creative. It may mean that the person wants to be perceived as an ambitious and creative individual. Now, when we have a double line underneath, it doesn't mean that the feeling here is intensified. It shows us that the person is very authoritative, that they might be kind of bossy, egoistic, focused on themselves, not really a nice person. But mostly it shows that they are very authoritative. And it's not true. That's the best in all of this. These people are actually very self-conscious, sensitive individuals, and this is how they just want to pose to the world. Okay, sorry guys, but I have another cat and it just flipped my phone. This is Ricky, by the way. Anyway, coming back to the video. Okay, reversing the board, here we have this, it's not underlined anymore, it's overlined actually. It's kind of like a shield, so a person is actually trying to protect themselves and shield themselves from people. Again, this is a public image, so they don't really want to reveal much about themselves. When it comes to this signature, what I wanted to show here, it's not the best example, it's basically tracing back. So whenever a signature is tracing back like this, without crossing out, it means that the person has some unresolved issues in the past. Okay, this is how I put another spreadsheet, so let me just change it very fast. Okay, we got it. Bang. Here we're gonna be talking about the pressure of the handwriting, of the signature. This is the middle pressure, pretty normal. This is a very heavy pressure. People who have a very heavy pressure tend to be extroverted to the extreme. Whenever something is abnormal, out of norm, so try writing yourself with a really heavy pressure all the time, it's draining. But if some people are stating their signature like this, it means that they want to come out as a really extroverted, confident person, full of energy. It's like, I can do this kind of signature. On the other hand, we have a signature with a very light pressure. That points out that the individual who's insecure, who cannot handle it well, who kind of doesn't know how to connect one end with another one. An extreme example of this is you can see that the pen started losing pressure completely in some points. This indicates a shaky hand. You are basically so anxious that you cannot even hold the pen in your hand anymore. That might be a very evident sign for anxiety, depression, or even suicide. So watch out for this one. So here we're gonna have a little bit mix and match of different things. When we have a signature that is highly stylized, and what I mean by that is like the letters are very much calligraphed. Is this how you say it? Calligraphed? Yeah. This is basically taking a lot of time to write, because normally you just write it fast, but this required precision and aesthetics. So this person tries to come out as, they want to make a statement basically. They want to be perceived as probably someone who they're not. These people might be boastful, insincere, they are desperate to be perceived in a certain way. Now we have a signature with the dot on top at the end. So what a dot period at the end means? Basically a full stop. So it's Alexandra Petrovska, and that's it, it's me, no more. We want to be perceived as very important figures. When it comes to writing your signature with mainly your first name and then just the first letter of your surname, it indicates that you are more attached to who you are rather than your family. You're kind of erasing it, you're not giving them the credit. On the other hand, we have only first letter of the name and the full surname is the reverse situation. Now here we're having sort of an extreme. We only have Alexandra, so that person completely skipped the surname. You can see these kind of signatures a lot with the celebrities because, you know, in order to become a singer or any other creative artist, it takes a lot of individual strength and dedication. So maybe these people just want to be known as for who they are, and they just omit their surname. Another version is writing with only your nickname. So Alex, it means that you want to come as a friendly person. And again, same things that for this signatures apply for this signature. So an individual, dedicated. Before we get to the initials, we can only have a surname. If we only have a surname, and literally tells us about really strong family bonds. Initials now. These initials indicate that the person is really straightforward and they're probably really busy since they don't have... Sorry, there's my neighbor doing vacuuming. So this person might be very busy since they don't even have time to write their full name and they just go for the initials. On the other hand, this person who writes on the initials in small caps, it's again quite the opposite. Small caps indicate insecurity, as we know already, and it just might mean that the person doesn't even want to write their whole name because they just want to disappear. So there's a bit of a difference between these two. Guys, we're coming to the last page, which is legibility. The first signature is meant to be legible. The second signature is illegible, as you can imagine. I should have actually put another signature. Give me just a second, one moment. Okay, we got it. So I added one more. I'm gonna tell you at the end what it means. So the legible signature says that the person is pretty much open about who they are, they're confident about who they are, they have nothing to hide, they just come as they are, you know, feeling good, smelling good, this kind of vibe. Illegible signature might mean that there is something that the person wants to hide, because, you know, you're scribbling, you don't really want to. Also, it might mean that there is some lack of clarity happening since they're writing illegibly, or that they simply have a quick mind and they have so much going on that they're just scribbling their signature because they have so many other things to do or to think about. Now, the last signature that I added at the end is an extremely legible signature. The baseline is extremely straight. The letters are individually very stylized and very legible up until the extreme, okay? Nobody writes like this. When you write a signature, you usually do it fast, just like giving an autograph. It might mean that the person have some kind of anxiety going on. So that goes for the signature and for the handwriting. Whenever you see a highly stylized, highly readable signature or handwriting, watch out for this. This person has so much going on in their mind that they're putting a facade and they're hiding themselves between this fantastic and beautiful clear signature. So that's an important thing to mention. Okay guys, so we finished the signature episode for today. Let me know please how you guys enjoyed this, how the board situation was working for you. Let me know whether you learned something new, and if you have any ideas for the next series, or if there's some information I missed you want to hear it, let me know down in the comments below. Like and subscribe so I can spend more time with Ricky and Fiero, who's behind there, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.